Dear brothers and sisters, today I will share with you a truly extraordinary story, one that might be hard to believe if it weren't for the solid evidence that supports it. This is the story of a man who was walking the path of damnation, but who was touched by the hand of divine mercy. This man, Bruno Cornacchiola, harbored a dark plan to kill the Holy Father, the Pope. Unexpectedly, something happened that not only converted his heart, but also transformed Bruno into a fervent Catholic. God had a different plan for him, a plan of conversion and light that would change not just his life, but also the lives of many others. This is the story of how a man who wielded the dagger of hatred was disarmed by God's unconditional love. But this story is even more remarkable because everything that happened was revealed by the Virgin Mary to a young woman 10 years earlier, events which she in turn had told to the cardinal who would soon become Pope. Let's start at the beginning of this journey into the depths of faith. Bruno Cornacchiola was born into a poor family in Rome and grew up in a challenging environment that led him to develop a deep resentment towards the Catholic Church. His experiences in the Spanish Civil War further solidified his anti-Catholic convictions, turning his beliefs into fanaticism. Bruno became so radical in his views that he eventually planned an act of extreme violence to assassinate the Pope, a symbol of the faith he despised so much. On the 12th of April 1947, back in Rome, Bruno was near the Abbey of Tre Fontane on the outskirts of the city. It was a beautiful sunny day, and he was with his 3 children. While the boys played soccer, he was busy writing a speech against Catholicism for a conference he would hold the next day. He planned to speak against the dogma of the Immaculate Conception proclaimed by Pius IX. Absorbed in his writing, he lost sight of his 3 children. Concerned, he started searching for them until he found them kneeling inside a cave. The children seemed transfigured, their eyes fixed on the darkness of the cave. Initially, Bruno, fearing a curse or deceit, thought the worst. But then, overwhelmed, he called for divine help. "God save us!" he cried. At that moment, a light began to dispel the darkness in the cave, gradually revealing the figure of the beautiful lady. The Virgin Mary appeared suddenly to him as well, and addressed Bruno with words of love and truth. The words of the Madonna were clear and direct. "Bruno, why do you persecute me?" She also gave him a task, to find a priest who would respond to a specific question in a particular way. This would be the sign that would confirm the truth of the apparition and the need for his conversion. In the following days, Bruno desperately searched for the priest who could confirm the words of the Madonna. He prayed incessantly, pleading with the beautiful lady to guide him. But despite many attempts, no priest had responded in the way indicated by the Madonna. He had nearly lost all hope when, on April 28th, urged by his wife Iolanda, Bruno went to the Church of All Saints. There, in the sacristy, he approached a priest, tugging at the hem of his cassock and asking to speak. When the priest, Don Frozi, responded with "Hail Mary, my child," Bruno knew he had found the sign he was looking for. This event marked the beginning of his journey of reconciliation with the Catholic faith. Bruno and his family drew closer to the church under the spiritual guidance of Don Gilberto Carniel. The climax of this transformation occurred on December 9th, 1949, a day when something even more incredible was about to happen. During a ceremony held in a private chapel by Pope Pius XII, Bruno presented himself before the pontiff, kneeling and asking for forgiveness for his past. With him, he brought his Bible and the dagger on which he had written, "Death to the Pope." The Pope's response was emblematic of the Church's merciful heart. Welcoming him with a smile, he said that with that gesture, Bruno would have only given the Church a new martyr and a new Pope. Bruno's conversion and his confession of intending to kill did not surprise the Pope. For a young woman, the servant of God Luigina, had spoken to him about this event years earlier when he was still a cardinal. Luigina had experienced several apparitions of the Virgin Mary and Jesus from a young age. Her life was marked by extraordinary events, and during one apparition the Virgin Mary told her,
"Now go to St. Peter's Square. You will find a lady dressed thus." And she described her precisely, and ask her to take you to her brother, the cardinal. You will bring him my message. From this place, I will establish in Rome the throne of my glory. Also, tell the cardinal that he will soon be the new pope.
Following the words of the Virgin Mary, Luigina went to St. Peter's and, following the Virgin's instructions, identified a woman, the sister of Cardinal Eugenio Pacelli. Convinced by her words, she arranged for Luigina to speak with Cardinal Pacelli, who, struck by the young woman's sincerity, listened to the prophecy of the Virgin. The Virgin Mary warned him that he would soon become pope and announced the extraordinary conversion of an anti-Catholic to whom the Madonna would appear years later. That anti-Catholic was Bruno Cornacchiola, and after 10 years, he was kneeling before the Pope, swearing his fidelity to the Church. Pope Pacelli, therefore, already knew everything from Luigina's words, and thus always showed particular sensitivity toward the apparitions of the Madonna of Tre Fontane. The apparitions still today, despite studies by the Vatican, have not yet been officially recognized by the Church. But Pope Pius XII showed a particular devotion to the Madonna of Tre Fontane throughout his life. Dear brothers and sisters, the story of Bruno Cornacchiola is undoubtedly one that leaves us speechless, a story of conversion and prophecies fulfilled. His story reminds us that there is no heart so hard that it cannot be touched by the grace of God. Bruno's life, once marked by hatred and violence, was transformed into a living testimony of God's love and forgiveness. His story is a powerful example of how God can work in our lives, guiding us from despair to hope, from hatred to love, from sin to holiness. May the story of Bruno's conversion inspire each of us to reflect on our own lives and to always seek the merciful face of the Lord, who calls us all to a renewed relationship with Him, through faith and the sacrament of reconciliation. Let us know what you think, and don't forget to subscribe to the channel if you haven't already, so you won't miss new videos and can join our community of faith and prayer. May God bless us all.